You are classified as a first felony offender. You're currently serving a 40-year sentence. You were sentenced in Tensall Parish, I believe it was. Yeah, Tensall Parish in March of 1999 for manslaughter, and you have a second-degree murder. You have a parole eligibility date, which was August 1st, 2021, and you have a good time date, July of 2031. Is all that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, so tell us, I saw you, as I mentioned, in 2021, a while back, and at that time you were denied parole, and I voted to deny parole. And I didn't feel at that time you were adequately prepared for transition back to the community. I recognize that you had worked for prison enterprises for a long, lengthy time and may not have had the access to programs that we would have liked to see. So what have you done since 2021 to better prepare?
Working in the P garment and take that AANA class. And I signed up for Liberty Valley in anger management.
Have you been able to take living in balance and anger management yet?
Ma'am?
Have you completed those programs, living in balance?
No, ma'am, not yet.
Anger management?
No, ma'am.
Are you enrolled in them?
In AANA.
Okay. All right. And so tell us why you believe, considering your crime, why you believe we should grant you an early release today.
Since I've been locked up, I haven't had any more write-ups or none of that. And I also got trustee status. And I'm still doing AANA. And as soon as they sign up for anger management and Liberty Valley, I can get in those classes.
Good. So what, do you have your GED?
No, ma'am.
You have the job skills training with prison enterprises?
Yes, ma'am.
Garment factory for a couple of decades. So yeah. All right. So Warden, what can you tell us about Mr. Snowden?
He's currently enrolled in the ANA. He haven't finished it just yet. He finished the pre-release. He completed that. He and I talked just on yesterday when I interviewed him. And I just think he actually really need to get involved in the victim impact class under the situation of his crime. I think it'd be something beneficial to him.
Okay, thank you, sir. Let's hear from the Parole Project, Mr. Myers.
Yes, good afternoon. Kerry Myers here with Louisiana Parole Project. We're here for Mr. Snowden today. Mr. Snowden, 73 years old, served 28 years now on his sentence, about 70% of his sentence. I think based on Mr. Snowden's age, his participation in particularly AANA, which does have a direct impact on the offense that he committed. He's had his stability since he's been incarcerated. He's been at the same job for 21 years at the garment factory on the sewing machines. He's got one disciplinary report in 28 years. That was 25 years ago. He's got a long-term residence plan with family. Should that, for some reason, not pan out, we're prepared to take Mr. Snowden. And one of the things that we would do is, based on his age, as you know, we would connect him to the services and benefits that he would be entitled to, and locate long-term elderly housing for him, which is actually very close to our housing, which would keep him in our orbit. If if it came to that. But we don't expect that, but we are prepared for that. Mrs. Snowden's no threat to public safety. Obviously, the board weighs many factors in their decisions, but we would just ask this board to consider the time served on the sentence and his age and his record, his disciplinary record, in granting his parole today.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Myers. Miss Dorothy Smith, please. Okay, I'm sorry, we couldn't reach her back. So do we have Eric Snowden with us? Go ahead, Eric.
Hello?
Yes, go ahead, sir.
Yes, ma'am. How y'all doing today?
Good.
Hey,
Go
man.
ahead.
Yes, I believe my dad has had a change of mind. He's been heading in that direction since he's been incarcerated. He's been displaying the characteristics of someone that's ready to re-enter society and become productive for spending time, the rest of his time with family. He's been very encouraging for his not just telling us about it, but in his actions, showing us that, hey, I have a changed mind. The mindset that he had back in 97 is no longer the mindset that he has today at 2025. He has a strong support system here at home. I'm his his middle son. I'm a pastor at my church. He has a great supporting cast, when he reenters society. So we just believe God that when he comes home, he's most definitely apologetic, for his actions. And I believe that he has served a lot of time. And I just want to see my dad home, just to enjoy the time that we have and just love him. I just love him and miss him considerably, man. I just pray that he comes home.
All right, thank you, sir. We
Yes,
appreciate you speaking with us.
yes,
And
ma'am.
I have Jesse Snowden also.
Yes.
Go ahead.
I think my brother spent a lot of time in here, and I had 4 other relatives, brothers and sisters who died. There's only 4 left. And for society, I don't know if y'all decided whether he paid it, but I miss my brother. And I'm 67, he's 73, and I'm ready for at least spend the last couple of days with him because I'm sickly too.
All right, sir, thank you. Now it's time for us to hear from family of the victims. Could we hear from Albert Monk? You're still on mute, sir.
Can't hear you.
Yes.
Can you hear
Go
me
ahead.
now?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good afternoon. I'm Albert Monk. I am the brother-in-law of Lawrence Jr., the person that was killed by Mr. Snowden. And I'm also the husband of Gwen Monk, the person who was shot in the back. I can look at the fact and understand that how some family members may miss their family member that are still living. But in this family, as well as my wife, I can say that my brother-in-law is gone and we miss him, but we will never get the chance to see him again. I can still remember that horrific night that Mr. Snowden shot my brother-in-law in the head several times and then shot my wife in the back. At that time, during the year of 1997, I was a young police officer in Dallas, Texas, beginning my career. I just retired in 2022 after 36 years of law enforcement. There's never been a day that has went by that I could say at that particular time, had I would have had my gun on me, carrying it like I should have with being a law enforcement officer, would this been a different situation that we'll be talking about today? Because I looked at the fact, and I think about it all the time, and I would have had my gun, then I would have probably been there to protect my brother-in-law as well as protect my wife. But at that particular time, I'm looking at that we are out enjoying ourselves on a anniversary during Thanksgiving weekend, and that I shouldn't have a need to have a weapon, be thinking about somebody in the family getting killed. But little did I know that it happened. And Mr. Snowden, after we got up to go to the dance floor from the club, me and my other brother-in-law, this guy sat there, stalked my brother-in-law. Once we was gone on the dance floor, he approached him and he shot him in the head several times. And then after that, he shot my wife in the back also. And at the time that the paramedics were transporting my brother-in-law to the hospital, I was in the process. I had to transport my wife too, while this was all going on, while I'm listening, trying to understand what's his condition. But moving on, as we got to the hospital, my wife went into the surgery room for her to look at her wounds, and they brought my brother-in-law into the room where I was, and he was laying on the gurney, and he was still. And I asked the doctor at that time, I said, "Doctor, is there anything you could do?" And he said, "No, there's nothing we could do. We could try to massage his brain, but if we did that, he would be a vegetable. He wouldn't be able to do anything." So at that point in time, when I looked at that and I seen the fact about my brother-in-law laying there dead, and the fact is, I said one thing. I said, "You know what? You have been one of the best brother-in-law that I had." Not only would he give you a shirt off his back, but he would also give you a suit. When I married his sister, he bought me a suit, and he didn't really even know me that good. This was the type of man that would give you anything that you would ask for. If Mr. Snowden maybe would have came there and talked to my brother-in-law, they probably could have discussed things, and we've never been in this situation where we are today. But in light of that, Mr. Snowden decided that he wanted to take the jury and everything, judge, jury, everything into his hand and shoot my brother-in-law. That's one of the things that I think about all the time, as well as that I had to make the call to my mother-in-law, who was elderly at the time, at 4 a.m. in the night, and make that call to say that you have your son has been killed. And I was the one made that call. So in making that call, the fact is that I think that now that she's gone, that was part of the situation that took her out because of her son. Her particular son, which my brother-in-law was come from a large family, but he supported that family. He would buy everything for the family. He would support the family. He would do a lot. So wrapping things up to say that my deal is that being in law enforcement, and I see a lot of things that I've dealt with as being an officer, and I look at people that sometimes can be rehabilitated and can be remorseful for what they have done. But in this case right here, I feel that Mr. Snowden should not be paroled at this time because once again, I still go through the situation with my wife. If that bullet would have been a couple of inches to the right, it would have paralyzed her in her spine. And I'll be here right today saying that I have a brother-in-law that was killed in cold-blooded, and then my wife, who is now wouldn't be able to move anymore. And I just said one thing, then I'll be through. Being in law enforcement, there are 4 culpability states, and there are The culpability state is the one called accidental, recklessness, intentionally, and knowingly. That's the culpability state. Mr. Snowden met the culpability state. He intentionally and knowingly killed my brother-in-law. It wasn't an accident. It wasn't recklessness. It was recklessness when he kept shooting. He could have shot other people in that particular club. But at this point in time, he met the two culpability state, knowingly, intentionally hunted out my brother-in-law, and he assassinated him right there at that table on the floor. That's all I had to say. Thank you.
Yes, sir, Mr. Monk. We appreciate hearing from you. We also have Monique Franklin, Mr. Chapman's sister, I believe.
I am actually his niece. Um, I was, I speak on my family, but I was there that night. Um, man, as my Uncle Albert just said, we were there, just having a family gathering, a good time, and we're a big family, but most of us were living at that time in major cities, and you just did not expect. But when I say I was there, I didn't see it. There was a panel between where Mr. Snowden shot my uncle and where I was dancing. But my mother was sitting at the table at that time. And I heard my mother say, "He shot my brother. He shot my brother." And as we tried to figure out what was going on and go over there was my uncle laying in the floor. That was my uncle. I am now 58 years old. Mr. Snowden, and to your family, I understand, and to the parole board, he's 73. My uncle didn't get to see 73. My mother didn't get to see 73. I don't know, God knows, as I say, I'm 58. This happened when I was 38. There's not a day, there's not a day that doesn't go by. I take sleeping pills at night, so I don't have to see my uncle laying on the floor. Everything about this revolves around my life. I got a call on April 29th to tell me this case was coming up. Well, my mother passed away on May 8th. Then 2 days later, it's Mother's Day. My mother's birthday is June 2nd. Then my birthday comes up. I had a wedding anniversary, have a birthday, but none of that means anything to me. You can't imagine hearing the gun, and then my mother screaming, and the person that he said he was trying to actually get to, that young lady that was in there, she grabbed my mother so hard her nails dug into my mother's skin. And that was something my mother never got over. I had to listen to my mother and going to psychiatrist when she started having dementia and she started reliving all this. I can't. I just, as a family member, I have to say I'm against the parole.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Thank you for sharing those feelings with us. And then we have Yolanda Ford.
Hi, yes, I'm Yolande Ford, and almost 28 years ago, my Uncle Lawrence, who was a father, son, brother, valedictorian, business owner, he was a pillar of the community. He was, as my cousin and my uncle have said, he was the backbone of our family. He was murdered, and our family has just never been the same. Something was ripped from us, and the trauma that we endured, it did not end at his funeral. It lingers, and as my cousin said, it shapes every day of our lives. We try to move forward, but the presence of his absence is so overwhelming. And as a licensed professional counselor, I see families survive traumatic loss all the time, but there's always a hole, there's always a shadow of fear and anxiety. And that's been our life for nearly 3 decades. I was not there with my family when my uncle was murdered and when my aunt was shot. I was back at the home. I was a junior in high school. And I remember every moment of what happened once we received that phone call. From when my grandmother had to answer that call, she had to sit down next to the phone and she made the call to the funeral home, and how she composed herself while everyone else around her was falling apart. That next morning, I woke up. My grandmother was sitting on the side of her bed, bawling uncontrollably. I had never seen her do that before. And that was because my uncle, who was the backbone of this family, was no longer there. Now, his children will never know what type of father and grandfather he could have been. My mother, his sister, will never know the type of brother that he could have been in their later years. My children will never know the uncle that he could have been. And trust me, he was the favorite uncle among all of us. In life, we make choices, and those choices have consequences. And the man who murdered my Uncle Lawrence made a life-altering decision, not only for himself, but for our entire family. And his choice took my uncle's life and changed our lives forever. So his actions have sentenced us to a lifetime of grief, and I believe that he should not be released from his sentence. And for these reasons, I respectfully but firmly urge you not to grant him parole, because he took something from us that can never be restored. And the pain and the impact of that loss is so real today as they were that night that this happened. I thank you for hearing me.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you for sharing those thoughts. So we'll get back to Mr. That's all the speakers that we have. So we'll get back to Mr. Snowden. Mr. Snowden, tell us why you did what you did.
Ma'am. Been here
Why did you do what you did?
because he threatened me and he put his hand on his pocket like he had a gun in his pocket. And from what they just said, about 7 shots, just only 1 shot. He was shot once and it wasn't in the head. So they say several shots was fired. The ball would only have 7 shots that I had. He threatened me like he told me, if you don't stop talking to her, I can make you. Like he said, I have a way of keeping you from saying anything to her. But I really thought that he had a gun in his pocket that he was going to shoot me with.
Right. But why did you have a gun on you?
Now,
Why did you have a gun?
I didn't have it at the time. It was outside in the vehicle.
So you went back and got the gun.
I went back and got it because I thought he had one.
So you came in and you meant to hurt him.
Now,
You meant to hurt him.
no, ma'am. When I come in back in, I told Jared to holler at them.
Right. Well, Mr. Snowden, what I'm trying to get at is why didn't you, when you went out, why didn't you just stay out and not come back in?
Well, I thought about that since I've been locked up. It was many things I could have did. I could have went and called the police and had him arrested and this and that, but I was afraid that he had that gun and he was going to shoot me.
Could have just left. All right, so How do you feel about killing him?
But after he got shot, Jerry, he come rushing at me, and I turned, and the gun went off again. When it went off, another dude came up behind me, hit me in my head with the bottle. When I got up off the floor, I left and went out the club and went down the road.
Right. I think I have to agree with the warden. I think you definitely need some victim impact training. I don't have any other questions. You have any questions, Mrs. Liddell?
I would suggest thinking for a change if you have it there, Warden, as well.
All right, Mr. Snowden, I don't see any more questions, so I think we're ready to vote. And again, I saw you, like I said, in 2021, and I really don't believe you're any better prepared today than you were then. I do believe you need the victim impact training that Warden Thompson has talked to you about, because it doesn't feel like you know what you did to that family, the impact that it's had on them. It doesn't feel like, or maybe you just can't express yourself, but that program will help you do that. So my vote today, based on the opposition we've heard from the family, and the lack of sufficient programming to prepare you for release, my vote today is to deny. Mrs. Ledoux?
I also concur with those issues, and I'm not sure you are expressing any remorse. I would like to see you take thinking for a change as well as the victim impact. My vote is to deny.
Mr. Bauer?
I concur with my colleagues for the same reason.
All right, Mr. Snowden, you got some work to do, sir.
Should parole so early in your sentence even be possible? Is this justice for the victim's family? Please let me know what you think in the comments below. And if you like this video, please hit subscribe for new videos every week.